Hi, thanks for watching. This is Jessie, and I'm going to be reviewing Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is set to be released on July 5th from Knopf Publishing, and thanks to NetGalley for providing an ARC. I really enjoyed this book. So, there's this group of people who are right at the end of Generation X, the beginning of Millennial Generation. They're on that cusp, and there are certain things that are very nostalgic to us. Super Mario Brothers, certain games that we played growing up, not only when we were children playing Super Mario's, um, but also throughout our teenage years. So when the internet started being a staple in households before parents knew what to warn their children of. Um, we were in AOL chat rooms. We were on Newgrounds until all hours of the day. We played Spear of Destiny, and there's been some books recently that have really brought that back. Rabbits by Terry Miles is one of them, and this is another one. So this book follows Sam and Sadie. Sam and Sadie meet in the hospital as children. Sam is there for a procedure, and Sadie is there because her sister Alice has cancer. And they meet in the waiting room and kind of bond over video games. Sadie is so impressed by the fact that Sam always gets Mario on the flag at the end of each level, and their friendship kind of goes from there. They do have a falling out, and years later, Sam runs into Sadie in the subway. And they take a few moments. Sadie is trying to get Sam to be able to see the picture pop out on a Magic Eye poster. And as they're parting ways, Sadie hands Sam a disc, which is a video game that she's been working on for a college class. Sam takes the video back to his apartment where he is living with Marks, his roommate, and Marks has kind of taken Sam under his wing because Sam, the same reason that he was in the hospital as a child, he still has issues. He still has issues with that bone, with the reason that he was in the hospital. And so he takes this video game home, and him and Marks play it, and they're pretty impressed with it. And it's an 8-bit video game, and Sam starts trying to reach Sadie. Unfortunately, Sadie isn't answering. He doesn't understand why she gave him this if she's not going to respond to him. And finally, Marks convinces him that he needs to go talk to Sadie. And he makes the trek in winter, which is hard for him because of this health issue that he has, over to her apartment and finds out from her roommate that she has recently gone through a really devastating breakup and appears to be in the throes of depression. Sam spends a good amount of time pulling Sadie out of that situation, and they begin to write, or they begin to create video games together. And the first one is Ichigo. And this follows a child who loses their parents before they learn how to talk, and they go through the motions of finding their way back home before they have the language, the ability of language. And it's such a popular video game. At this point, they've incorporated Max into it because Max, not Max, Marks plays the video games. He gives them feedback, and there's the professor, um, Sadie's professor, who has built I can't think of the word for it. It's like the mainframe for the video game, and she asks if she can use that for the next game that they're making. Sadie kind of heads the next game that they make, and it doesn't do as well as Ichigo did. And it seems to polarize gamers. You have half of the gamers who think it's genius and half of the gamers who hate it. And then the gamers who think it's genius, they are polarized between thinking that Sam's part of the game is genius and Sadie's part of the game is genius. And they end up having another falling out. And even though this is about video games, it's so much deeper than that. I was so impressed with the relationships in this in this book, not just between Sam and Sadie, but between Sam and Marks, between Sadie and Marks, um, between Marks and the women that he dated, between like the internal monologues that the characters have with themselves, and also the gameplay. There's this part where Sam and Sadie are in a game, and you're basically reading their movements through the game like a storyline, which is basically what games are. And it was really impressive. The way that the author brought all of this together, it was really impressive. I mean, and it mentions games that you don't think about anymore. This book, it really took me back. It mentioned Leisure Suit Larry, and I haven't thought of that game in like 20 years. Maybe I'm overshooting that. It feels like 20 or 30 years. Like it, it made me want to go back and play Parasite Eve or Star Ocean, and it was just such a nostalgic experience. It it was fun. It was such a fun, nostalgic experience. And as you can see on my bookshelf, I did go out and buy Rabbits by Terry Miles. I am going to be going and buying Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin once it drops as well, because I was that impressed with it. So hopefully, if this sounds like something you'd be into, if you liked Rabbits by Terry Miles, then I really think this is something that you would enjoy as well. So go check out the book, go to the author's website and play the game, and let me know what you think once you do. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe below.